our sphere of influences, of impulses, not influences. If I'm going to read it, I should actually read it and not make it up myself. Anyway, Epictetus says we must discover the missing art of ascent and pay special attention to the sphere of our impulses. That we are subject to reservation to the common good, and that they are in proportion to actual worth. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Here we have the emperor, Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, quoting in his diary the wisdom of a former slave. Epictetus was once a slave. And from what we gather, maybe even Marcus had lecture notes from some of his former students. That wisdom was ultimately about surrender and serving the common good, about the limits of our power and the importance of checking our impulses. Something every person in authority needs to hear. 100%. Power and powerlessness seem to rarely enter the same orbit at the same time. But when they do, it can change the world. Think of President Abraham Lincoln meeting with and corresponding with and learning from Frederick Douglass, who was also a former slave, armed considerable wisdom and insight. Had considerable wisdom and insight. Keep reading, Paul. In any case, all those men lived by the principles expressed here, right here on the page. The Weekly Daily Stoic. That our lives, whether we're experiencing great power or even powerlessness, it's critical to leave room for what may happen and keep the common good and actual worth of things front and center. And above all, be willing to learn from anyone and everything, regardless of their situation or station in life. Be ready to learn. Might be powerless in a situation, and someone who is usually not as powerful as you, circumstances may switch the roles. You may be uneasy because you're used to being the most powerful in a circumstance, but if you keep a learning spirit and being a student, not coming in trying to be all powerful, but ready to take life as a lesson. The universe, the experiences we have, is just a school. And if we think of it like that, we'll pass the test. Is there a test? Is there a test at the end of this? I hope not. Is there a test at the end of the book? No, there's no test at the end of this book. But I'll finish it sooner or later. Doing it daily, going back to weekly. So, you better join me daily while you can for the Weekly Daily Stoic. See you tomorrow.